publishing, because I'm going to
Yeah.
talk about like some of the unwritten rules of publishing have to do with traditional publishing, and some of them have changed
Right.
over the last
Right.
few years. And some of them have always been true. But the problem is people that haven't been in the trad system kind of have that dream, don't know that they're not true. They don't
Right.
understand, like, this is actually not the way things work. You think they
Right.
work that way, but they don't.
Well,
But
let's
yeah,
let's start
anyway,
our intro then.
yeah.
I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to Pros Talking Prose. Today, Troy and I will be discussing publishing and its unspoken rules. There are spoken and unspoken rules that happen in publishing. And while you might break the rules, it won't land you in jail, but it will probably kill your book. So you want to be careful. And we're going to go ahead and peel back the curtain today and kind of discuss some of these unwritten and unspoken rules and truths that make or break your book when it comes to publishing. So, welcome today. Thank you for joining us. If you haven't already, like, subscribe. We are not doing this for monetary reasons. We do this because Troy and I are wickedly masochistic and we like to pick on each other. So so
That works.
we just
That
we just
works.
we just want you to join us so that you can see and join in our pain. But we are happy
Might as
to.
well.
Yeah, might as well. And so we're also very interested in what you are interested in hearing about. So if you have a topic that you would like Troy and I to dig into, please share it in the chat, because we would be really interested in, like, talking about those things that you guys want to hear about. So please let us know what those are. But anyway, without further ado, let's just go ahead. I'm going to talk about one rule that I kind of like. Troy and I were just talking about a fellow peer of ours, and some of the things that she mentioned in our conversation was one thing that she said that actually really kind of resonated with me, was that the hybrid model of publishing is broken. And in a lot of ways, people think that about traditionally published books as well. They think that the publishing model as a whole is broken. And so they kind of tend to go into the self-publishing world so they can maintain a lot of control and their creative rights and royalties. But think about this. It's not really broken. It's just that the rules have changed. And so maybe if you understood the rules about those certain systems, you'll have a better idea and better, like, expectation going forward. So keep that in mind as we discuss about this. There's no right or wrong way to publish your book. The vehicles themselves are just vehicles. The journey of publishing just has to depend on you and your goals and what you want to accomplish and what you're comfortable doing yourself. But at the same time, it is a very good idea to always have a guide and somebody to help you along the way that knows what's going on. And myself, personally, I publish between 20 to 30 books a year, and I have Imprint Academy, which is a great tool for authors who are just really trying to understand and dig into the world of publishing and understand how much they can do themselves, or how much help they want to bring in. So if you want to check that out, you can come to my webinar. It's in this next one is on the 17th. It's this Thursday at 2 o'clock Eastern time. You can register. I'll put the link below. Oh, actually, by the time this airs, it'll probably be the next one. So the next one, I'll put the link in the bio or in the description. You're going to miss it if you hear it this way. But anyway, Troy, on the other hand, he is an amazing resource for authors who are looking to really tune and tone their book. So Troy, he's been in the business. Gosh, how long? Are you ancient yet?
Kind of. I mean, I've been in the business itself since really actively full time since 2009, but I mean, longer than that in goofing around and trying to figure things out.
Right.
But that's really when I started to find like my actual footing in
Awesome.
in
So yeah,
publishing. So
and
yeah,
you
a
do
long time,
everything. You're a jack of all trades. You've been editor,
pretty much.
publisher, author, ghostwriter,
Yeah.
everything. So Troy
Yeah.
knows what he's talking about. So when we're talking about publishing, guys, we are two actively involved humans that understand and know this world very well. So I want to put that out there first before we start talking, so you guys don't think we're just two Joe Schmoes that once published a book, or me who I don't have a published book to my name at this point. But like I said, I publish a lot. So I'm not just talking out my butt. I give all the credit to my authors because they're amazing. But anyway, okay. So moving forward, let's talk about the first rule I want to touch on, which is that this publishing game is not just about the book. So,
Yes.
yeah. So let's talk about that. That is an unwritten rule. People don't understand that writing the book it's only the entry ticket. What are publishers looking for when you submit a book to them through a query, when you talk to an agent? Like, why is it not just about the book?
Well, first of all, let me say the thing that I always say, and you probably heard me say it before on this podcast if you've heard us talk over and over. But your book is not just art, it is a product.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you can be as artsy fartsy as you want when you're writing and drafting the book and creating the book. And I want you to be. And that's one of the things I help authors with is creating that really awesome book that resonates with readers and gets them into your universe and really makes them want to read everything that you write. Right. That's one of the goals. The craft of writing, that art of writing is very important. But when that is process is done, what you have is a product that you need to bring to market and sell. Okay. So then it becomes about packaging that product, about formatting that product, about where you distribute that product and how you market that product. All of those things that normally go with a business. You think about if I created the most fantastic laundry soap in the world, I'm competing with Tide. And if I don't get mine in Walmart or somewhere like that, like I'm not going to sell a lot of that if I just go door to door in my neighborhood. It's the same thing with a book. If you don't get it out there in the world with good packaging that's attractive to people and have advertising that lets people know it's available somehow, and marketing more so than advertising, but that's another topic for another day. All that stuff is beyond the writing of the book. Your book, when it's done, is a product you have to sell. So it can't just be about the book. And if you're going traditional, you're selling it to an agent or an editor who's going to help you through that process. But you're still selling it. You still have to sell someone on that book, or it's not going to go anywhere.
Yep. So very much for and to that degree, I want to remind everybody that a publishing house, usually the reason a publishing house is set up the way they are, they have a brand specific goal or style that they are like focused on. So you might not go to, you're not going to go to Penguin with your, epic fantasy. You're going to go to, you know what I mean? Like certain publishing houses have a certain style or a certain type of book that they put out. So when you're pitching your book, know thy publisher, know thy agent, know what they're specialized in or who their contacts are, and understand and know how to pitch that project to them, fully being aware and transparent with the idea that you may get the no, and more likely than not you will get a no. So it's numbers game, it's all about pitching and finally hitting gold, and it's really like panning for gold. You're gonna have to find a vein, and sometimes it takes a lot of work to find the vein. So
Hmm.
don't be sad when you get the first no, the second though, the 99th no. It's going to probably take 999 no's before you get a yes. But
Hmm.
realize that you have you can reduce that amount of no and rejection when you are looking at the right people to talk to.
Hmm.
So,
Well, yeah, let me add to that really quick because a lot of the way people do things now, we'll probably talk about this as we go forward,
mhm,
is small
mhm,
presses and medium-sized presses, because it's very difficult to get your book into the big five,
right.
right? It's a very,
It
and the
just
big
is.
five
It's a no. You
are
have to
not
know who.
always, yeah, they're not always the best answer for you.
Right.
And a lot of times you need an agent or you need to know someone or whatever the case may be. For instance, I
Mhm,
have a traditionally published book that I had no agent for. I knew the owner of the publisher, but
right.
I didn't have an agent, right? But normally do you get in that publisher without an agent? No, you don't. It doesn't happen. Okay. So, but small presses specialize. So I'm working on a project right now, an anthology, a couple anthology projects with a publisher called Down and Out Publishing.
Hmm.
Okay. They publish noir and mystery and hard-boiled stuff. So if I have this wonderful sci-fi novel, if I pitch it to Eric over at Down and Out, guess what I'm going to get?
I know.
Even I know him. And he's going to say, "What are you high? Like, what are you trying to sell me? Because this is not the kind of books, because they have the ability to market a certain particular type of book. So, partly what a publisher is looking at is, do they have the ability to market your book and does it fit with their timeline and their platform? So, there's all kinds of reasons that you can get a no that have nothing to do with how good your book is, how good your story is, or you as a person,
Hmm.
as an author. But Stacey is absolutely right in knowing your publisher and pitch the right people. I'm also not going to pitch my noir anthology to Dragonsteel, you know,
Or
because
Shadow
Brandon
Mountain.
Sanderson is not going to, or Shadow Mountain. Brandon Sanderson is not going to publish my noir anthology,
Nope.
and neither is Shadow Mountain, who focuses on LDS fiction, which is probably not, and very clean fiction for the most part. So probably not my erotica novel either.
Nope.
Know what you're doing when you're when you're pitching a publisher, know what they're into so
Right.
that you can increase your chances of getting it right,
Right,
basically.
right, exactly, exactly. So, yeah, so very much wear the right hat of this is a product. I'm 100% behind Troy's idea there, and realize that no matter what type of publishing you do, you're going to have to know how to market that and sell that book. Trad publishers do not, small presses especially, do not cover marketing. They will offer
Mhm.
small, um, kind of like homework packages. I'm going to call them homework packages. I think I'm going to
Mhm.
coin that. Homework packages where they kind of give you like a list of things that you could be doing to market your book, but they're not going to take that from you. And the reason is because it's a lot of work, people. And if they did that for you, then I would think that it would cost way more than the $15,000 they're going to charge you. So, and frankly, that's just really how much it costs. So you're going to run ads no matter who you're with, and you're going to have ad spend, and you're going to have all those things. So this is a business. This is a business, and your book is a product. So you're going to have to sell that product.
Mhm.
Um, so by the way, if you want to learn how to market your book, I love Brian Cohen.
Oh, yeah. Brian is a good, first of all, Brian Cohen's a good friend of mine. Second of all, especially as far as Amazon ads specifically, and also tailoring your book blurbs, which is a big part of
Mm-hmm.
marketing. Brian has a formula that works really well. So even if you don't want to pay his team to create blurbs for you, learn his formula because the formula works, right?
Yeah.
And it's based on literally just research data, thousands of book blurbs that they've analyzed of books that sell,
By the way,
right?
we're not getting paid by Brian. In fact, I haven't reached out
No,
to Brian yet. I'm actually like this week, I'm like thinking, oh, I'm gonna reach out to Brian and I'm gonna actually do some
when
partnering
we're in
with
Author
him.
Nation, he has a pizza party every time.
I don't care.
We'll
I'm gonna
just go
call
to the
him
pizza
tomorrow.
party.
I don't
Anyway,
wait for people. I'm gonna call him. Remember, I told you I don't wait to call you. I don't wait to call
that's
Brian.
right.
I don't wait.
Well, you can call Brian too. You can get a hold of. He's actually pretty easy to get a hold of, really. But anyway,
I think he's cute
um,
as a button.
yeah.
I think he's awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and reach out to him. But yeah, he is amazing. So I would recommend Brian. He is giving solid advice when it comes to running Amazon ads and marketing your book. So he's
Mhm.
a good place to start. So okay, do you have another rule before I throw a rule two
So
out? I can make mine a rule
I have
3.
another one that relates directly to what we just talked about.
Okay, I'm ready.
And the rule is no one cares about your book as much as you do.
Oh my gosh, that's on my list. Good call.
Okay. Let me just, okay.
Okay,
I don't care
go.
which publishing model you are with. You are the world's leading expert on your book. If you
Mm-hmm.
hire a PR person or whatever to help market your book for you, what they're going to do is exactly what Stacey said. They're going to give you a list of homework. Now, some of those people will reach out to podcasts and things for you. But I worked with a PR lady a few years back, and I paid her a whole bunch of money to reach out to podcasts for me. And then what happened? Well, I had to go appear on those podcasts. She didn't do that part for me.
Mhm.
Why? She doesn't know jack about my book. She didn't write it. She didn't
Right.
research it. She didn't know anything about it. I was the leading expert on my book, and it was my responsibility to go out there and market it. Okay. Nobody cares about your book as much as you do. When you have a publisher, they don't care about your book as much as you do. So if you don't talk about it, they are not going to talk about it. Okay.
Yep.
Nobody is going to talk about it as much as you're going to talk about it. Readers, as much as they love your work, it is one of probably many books that they're going to read every year. Holly, my partner, reads 50 some books a year, right? Some ridiculous number of books. I didn't think she quite made it that far last year. But anyway, she just,
You're
you
so
know,
cute.
and I read a ridiculous number of books every year, right? So your book, even if I like it, it's one of 50 that I like this year,
Mhm.
you know? Okay, that's awesome, but I don't care about that book as much as you do. I might tell other people about it. I just read a nonfiction book. I've been telling everybody about it, right? It's amazing. But I don't care about it as much as the author does.
Right.
There's no way. He's out there marketing that thing all over the place,
Right.
right? Because that's the way it works. Nobody cares about your book as much as you do. Nobody ever will. It's an unwritten rule about publishing that people really don't understand. They're like, I want to find an agent who just really loves my book. You will, but they are not going to love it as much as you do. Plain and simple.
That's true.
Anyway.
That's plain and simple. So expecting your editor, your formatter, your publisher, any of those guys to like run your business, they're not going to. Um, a really good example of this is my fantasy boys. I call them my fantasy boys. If they heard me call them that, they'd probably laugh. Um, but my chunky doorstopper boys just launched their book this week, and it's doing pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with
Mhm.
their marketing strategy. But they hired a guy to do it, and they are paying top dollar for this guy to help them run that marketing campaign. And again, this guy, I mean, he's doing a great job for them, but he's not selling their book. He's not in front of the camera. They are. They're in front of the
Mhm.
camera. They're the ones running the ads. They're paying for the ads. They're in front of the camera. He tells them what to do. It's homework. And so if they
Mhm.
didn't do it, there would be nothing done. So you have to remember that when you're doing your stuff. Yeah, no one's going to care
Well,
more than you.
also, just another note on this. If you say you're going to show up for a podcast or something,
Oh,
show
show
up.
up. Show up.
Show up. Okay. And I mean, look, I've ghostwritten stuff, so I've worked with a number of clients who have hired PR firms, and then they get on national television. They have to go show up and appear on those shows, right?
Mhm.
If you do one no call, no show type thing on that type of
Ooh.
thing, you're done. Okay, you're done because nobody in the media will trust you ever again. Okay,
Yeah.
so don't do that. If you get the opportunity to do those things, go, show up, talk about your book. Nervous? Good. Get over it. Have a drink first, whatever you need to do, but go. Okay,
Right.
because and the other part of that no one cares as much about your book as you do is you are your best long-term strategist. You can
That's
pay
true.
those other people to help you short term,
Mhm.
but they are not going to just keep helping you for free ad infinitum forever, and you can't
They
continue to pay them
they
for
will if
free.
you pay, yeah, if you pay them,
Yeah,
but
you can't afford it.
you won't
You're
be able
not
to
going to be
afford
able
it.
to afford it.
Yeah.
You unless you just don't like to eat or enjoy being homeless or, some things like that, which I mean, hey, if you do, awesome. But that's not the way most people work their lives,
I
right?
don't wanna be
So
homeless,
just
Troy.
don't do it. Me either. Me either.
We don't wanna be homeless.
Anyway,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, that was a good one. Yeah, that was my rule 3. So I'm gonna make my rule 2, rule 3. Yeah. So we're gonna do this.
Okay.
Are you ready? Okay.
Hmm.
Publishing is a long game.
Oh, that's on my list too.
Is it? It's a long game.
On
So
my list too.
fast launches are great, but when you launch a book, you have to remember that's just one small in the atmosphere. Like that is like a bubble that popped in the pool, and now you have to make more bubbles because it doesn't keep going. You have to keep blowing bubbles. Because the book, and I tell people this, if you just put the book out there, it's gonna die if you just don't. You're
I'm just
laughing.
thinking of I'm just thinking of bubbles in the pool. I'm so
Your
sorry.
12-year-old boy is
Please
coming out.
continue. Yeah, my 12-year-old boy is coming out.
Oh
And
my
it
gosh.
just reminds me of my other saying about fiction, which doesn't really fit in this particular section. But I will say that creativity and creative writing and things like that, it is kind of like a fart. If you have to force it, it's probably crap. Anyway,
There you
um,
go.
and that's what I was going through my head with bubbles in the pool. But please
I
continue
I
because you
I
are
was
correct. It is a long game.
it's a long game.
Um, it's a
But
long
anyway,
game.
so
Anyway,
real careers are
that
built on
was rule number two.
yeah,
Anyway, keep going.
rule number 2. Real careers are built on consistency, they're built on longevity, they're built on learning, they're built on relationships. One of the things that Troy and I were just talking about is like I signed up to go to Author Nation this year. Troy is going to be speaking at Author Nation. I'm very excited about this class that he's teaching. I plan to attend because I will probably be like a heckler in the back of the room. It'll be funny. But I'm really excited to go and hobnob and meet these people like Brian Cohen and Michael
Michael Evans.
Evans. He's so cute.
That's who you're
Oh my
talking about. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, he's so cute. Anyway, I've been following him on Substack. But anyway, yeah, so all these cute people that are amazing. Not just cute people. I mean, there's some ugly people there too, but they're awesome. But I want to go and meet people and like get to know these people and really kind of like these are my people. These are my people. So these are relationships that we build and we grow and we work from. Troy and I met years ago at a editors and writers association meeting, and we just we hit it off at lunch and we've been friends ever since. Another good friend of ours from that very association and I had a good phone call this morning and we're like working on a partnership. Those are relationships that I've nurtured and grown over years, and they continue to help and grow, build and expand my business. And that's the way you need to look at your books. So when you go to writers conferences and specifically reader conferences, you're nurturing relationships with other writers, other business owners, other marketers, other readers, and helping build your brand. So don't there's no such thing as overnight success. None of it is on accident. Although there are some miracles and unicorns that happen in this business, nothing is unplanned or un I guess the word is nothing's accidental. It all just kind of
Mhm,
happens from purpose and from intent. So keep that in mind.
mhm. There's a certain amount of luck
Yeah,
that comes with publishing, but part of that luck is being in the right place at the right time and having the right network and the people
right.
you're in touch with. That's certainly a part of that. That is
Mhm.
not, I mean, it's not 100% luck. It's just
Right.
not. And we call it 10-year overnight success. You've been working on this for 10 years and all of a sudden something sparks at the right time and you have what people are calling, oh, that guy just blew up overnight. No, he
No, he
did
didn't.
not. He worked 10 years in the background for that. And then something that he was working on blew up overnight. That's
Right.
generally the way that it happens.
Right.
It's not, which goes to, well, it goes to one of my other rules, but we'll get to
Okay.
that
We'll
probably.
get to that. Okay.
Um,
So, yeah, just keep in mind that a publishing, like from the time you start writing a book to the time you publish, it is a long game. For my editing, for my fantasy boys, 37 years in the making. They wrote that book in high school. They worked on it for 37 years, you guys, and they finally got it out and released this last week. I mean, that is a phenomenal story. And most of the time, it doesn't take 37 years, but you have to understand that a book, from the time it comes from your head as an idea to the time it's like sold in a store, even fast tracking that usually takes about a year or two. So, just be patient with your life, be patient with the process. Understand that there are faster ways to do this and there are slow ways to do this. The fastest way is to self-publish, but keep in mind that sometimes you sacrifice quality when you try to fast track. So be very, very careful about the way you go about your publishing journey, and that you prioritize what you're trying to accomplish so that you can understand how that timeline works out. That's
Mhm.
my best advice here.
Well, yeah,
Um,
and I will say there are ways to do this faster. And somebody was just asking me today, I was talking to one of my clients, and he was asking me, how do you do things so fast? I'm like, first of all, I'm full time and I work 12 to 16-hour days.
yeah. Hmm.
So when you say, oh, yeah, you do things incredibly fast. No, I don't. I just spend a lot of hours compacted doing it. If you have a day job, especially like he has a day job still, he doesn't have a whole ton of money to pay a bunch of other people to do things for him. So he's limited in what he can do with that. Shoot, dude has put out two books traditionally published, got another one coming out. That's
Wow.
shopping. He's working on book four, all in the same series. The dude's doing the work.
Right.
He's putting it out there. He's getting it done. But it takes him a long time, a lot longer than I write four books. He writes four books. It takes him 8 years to do that. It takes me, three,
Right.
okay, or two, right? Well, big difference in how much time I can spend on that and how
Right.
much time I can dump into that. So just keep that in mind that like not everything for everybody is the same, but either way, it's still a long game. As soon as I release that book, I've just started with that book or that series, and I've still got a long ways to go before that becomes profitable. So just keep all that in mind. It just does take time. It's just some of us have more time than others. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
If you hire an editor where the editing is their side gig, just it's going to take a little longer than one that's a full-time editor. If you hire
Hmm.
someone who's a formatter and again, it's a side gig, you know, just you understand that you're probably going to pay more for somebody who's a full-time gig, but like you kind of have to like checks and balances, weigh it out, decide
Hmm.
what your priorities are. Again, I help you do that in Imprint Academy, but that's one of the things you need to know. Understand those different things and
Hmm.
what you're getting and what you're giving up. Okay. Did you do that one? I did that one. I did that one. Your turn.
You did that one. Okay. Let me talk about something actually. So Vincent Zandri, a good friend of mine, listens to this podcast. Hey, Vincent.
Hey,
Um,
Vincent.
him and I were talking about this the other day, and I'm not going to say any names, but there was a small press that was
Mm,
trying to get started, and initially their thought process was that they were going to offer advances to authors. And then all of a sudden, the guy was like, did some research and realized no small presses are offering advances. In fact, most big publishers, unless you're a big name, don't offer advances anymore. But one of the things that's really important to remember when authors are talking about that, because what we used to do, okay, and just give you a little background about
yeah,
the
let's
way
give the
things
the
used to
history.
work
The history
is
of publishing. Oh,
one of
there
the
you go.
reasons you went to advances. Oh, yeah, the history of publishing. Oh, yeah.
There you
Anyway,
go. There you go.
the one of the reasons that you did advances was it was money that you lived on for a while you were writing the next book,
Right.
right? And while that first book was selling.
Hmm.
Okay. But advances, this is the number, you can put the number here and then whatever number this is. Uh Advances are not real money.
Right. They're loans, people.
They are loans. This is just like when a musician gets an advance from a record label. What it is it's a big loan that you have to pay back. If you don't earn out that advance, they're not going to give you another contract with another advance. The reason publishers don't give advances very much anymore is because of exactly what happened. If you need to look it up, and I've mentioned it on here a few times, is when Simon and Schuster and those guys were looking at a big merger, they stood in front of Congress and told us they don't know how to sell books and that many of their authors never sell more than 200 books, many of them, multiple of their authors. And what a
Hmm.
publisher has that they're selling when they're trying to merge and selling a publisher is they have intellectual property rights. That's the property that they own. So they don't want to give those up and give them back to you because that's a dollar line on a balance sheet.
Okay, let me break that down really
So,
fast before you talk. what he's saying there, guys, for those of you who need me to kind of break this down, is that when publishers are selling in a merger, they're selling intellectual property. That is your words,
Work. Your
your
work.
work. So when you are with a press, their assets are your words. So that's why I always tell people, when you are going to a press, whether it be hybrid or indie, or hybrid or small press or a big press, and they're issuing an ISBN to you out of their bank, that is now their asset. Okay.
Right.
I'm done with my rant.
And this is part of the tricky part of it to understand.
Mm-hmm.
You often retain the copyright to your work. But what the
But
publisher is doing through their contracts is they are licensing the right to do things with that work. The
mm-hmm.
longer they retain those rights. So Vince and I are working on an anthology right now. And
Okay.
what we're doing we're doing it in conjunction with Down and Out,
Right.
more information to come, right?
To come.
Maybe we'll talk about it in detail on one of these because it's really interesting. People ask me
Okay.
all the time, how do I put together an anthology? It's
Oh, okay.
actually
Yeah,
pretty easy
that would be
and it's
fun.
pretty cool.
Yeah, let's
However,
do that.
what we do is because we're running a Kickstarter and then the anthology is being published by a publisher,
Mm-hmm.
we retain the rights for 1 year. That's all to these short stories. Then those rights go back to the authors, and the authors can do whatever they want with those short
Right.
stories. They can republish them as a short, they can do whatever they want with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we retain those for 1 year just to preserve the exclusivity of the Kickstarter and the book launch,
Right. Right.
right?
And
That's
that
all.
makes sense. That's a
And
business. That's
the
good business
fact
practice.
that, well, and these stories will never be all in the same place again. The
Right.
authors will get the rights back. Maybe they'll publish them off somewhere else. Maybe they won't. Sometimes I get rights back to my stories and republish them. Sometimes they just sit there because I forget they exist or whatever. I just found an anthology not long ago that I forgot I was a part of. Anyway, um, but that stuff happens when you've been doing this a long time. But the point is that um, they're licensing the rights, and that's what that advance is for, is to license those rights for a period of time, but it's a loan that you have to pay back through sales. So if you fail to market your book and their marketing department fails to market your book well enough, then you don't ever actually get paid anything else for that book. So nowadays, what we like is, if we go with a small press, I like either no advance or a very small advance that I know I will earn out very
Mm-hmm.
fairly quickly, probably during launch, and will then just continue to get royalties after that. I don't want a big advance anymore because a six-figure advance is like having a mortgage that you owe a publisher that you have to earn out through sales of your book. So most publishers now don't offer advances, but when they do offer an advance, just understand that is not real money. That is a loan like you would get from a bank, and you need to earn that out. And there's often a clause in your contract about what happens if you don't earn that out. So
Right.
be very, very careful with those. But advances are not real money. That is not, if somebody gives you a check that's an advance, like a cash advance on your paycheck, it's going to come out eventually. You're going to pay them back somehow. Anyway,
Right.
not real money.
Exactly. So yeah, that's a good secret. That's something that I like. I always like when I'm tearing down the curtain on the Wizard of Oz. That's one of those little lessons that I'm always teaching, and I teach those. And I have a free course called Paper Trail on my class on my website that you can take. It literally breaks these publishing paths down. It's free. You don't have to pay me anything. It's just there. But it'll help you kind of understand this a little bit more. And yeah, that's one of those little secrets that I tell people, and they're always looking at me like, what? There's
Yeah.
always this look
Not
like,
real.
what? I didn't know that. Yeah. So don't romanticize
Yeah.
it. Don't there's no birds and butterflies flying around you when you get that check, and there's no, you're
Yeah.
not going to get kissed by a unicorn. It's all just like what Troy said. It's just a
Smoke and
loan.
mirrors.
Yeah,
Smoke and mirrors.
exactly. Exactly. So good point. Okay. Okay. I've got a good one. Are you ready for this?
Yep.
Hey, everyone always tells me when they come to me, I want to be published on Amazon. Okay, well, we all like that idea
Oh,
initially because we all believe that Amazon is this gatekeeper, or that they're the, like they're the cream of the crop. It is, you guys, it is so easy to get on Amazon. It doesn't cost you a cent to publish your book on Amazon. Why? Because Amazon is a money making machine. But you guys have to understand that Amazon is a store. KDP Press, Kindle Direct Publishing, is a print on demand platform. They are two different things. It's a nepotistic relationship. Amazon owns KDP. KDP was formerly Create Space, and now they work in tandem. But Amazon is a store. It is a store like Barnes and Noble, Walmart, Target, all of them. It is a store. And it is not just a bookstore, it is a multi purpose superstore. Okay. So your book going into that store is not necessarily the key to your success. You have to understand that Amazon is somewhat of a gatekeeper in terms of like making sure that your book is available. But you don't want to only be on Amazon, but you also need to understand that Amazon, it's the Wild West, folks. Pew, 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 pew.
oh man, the stories,
The
because
stories.
it used to be actually the Wild West.
Oh,
But
it still
so let
is.
me let
The
me just
algorithm is out of
describe,
control.
well, because there was a period that's called the gold rush,
Right, right,
right? Of
right.
self-publishing. But let me explain the anatomy of a gold rush. For those of you in the Boise area, May 25th, I'll be talking to the Idaho Museum of Mining and Geology about history
Oh,
of mining in Idaho.
you
And
didn't
I
tell me that.
always,
I want to
I
go.
just confirmed it the other day. But anyway,
I want to
but
go.
the anatomy of a gold rush is that what comes first is the miners, and those first miners make most of the money,
Right. Why?
right? And then what comes,
Why? Did you tell why?
because they're first.
They're first and they're
And
getting the
so
most of it.
there's only a few of them,
Mm-hmm.
but they get the gold that's easy to get. And then pretty soon you have to start digging a tunnel. And for that, you need a company that
Mm-hmm.
has money, that has multiple people working for it, multiple miners. Does this sound familiar? Like multiple authors working for a publisher type
Mm-hmm.
thing? So initially, self-publishers made a lot of money on Amazon and Smashwords back in the day, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But but the once the gold rush was over and the easy money was already had, publishers started to see that they could also make money on Amazon if they dug a little deeper. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And because they have more money and deeper pockets, Amazon, of course, welcomed them with open arms
Right.
and made special deals with them. And
Right.
so those publishers still have special deals with Amazon,
Like
and they make more money than the
like they
average self-published author.
like when like you want to put pre-orders up on a store in your for your book, you can't do it in Amazon unless you're with one of the big five because
As
they're
far
the
as
ones. Right, as
physical
far as
books, yeah.
physical books, you can put your ebook up on Kindle as a pre-order, but like those are the kinds of special deals we're talking about. Like there used to be ways around that. If you go into the internet, you'll find I use these special little tricks up until April of last year, and then the algorithm changed again and it literally slammed and closed and nailed and cemented that door shut. So that is no longer a possibility. But understand that there's still a Wild West element to Amazon. And it's not because it's a gold rush era. It's because it is literally like you're gonna have to employ some intense um strategy and some intense research into making sure that and money in order to make sure that you're seen in that huge pile of books that is published every year.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it has the anatomy of it has changed. It's a little bit more like the advanced Wild West
Yeah.
now.
It's
Um,
Tombstone.
like yeah, it's Tombstone once the mining companies came in.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of cutthroat stuff going on. There's still a lot of people robbing people in the back door. But you remember when big publishers have gone to war with Amazon, they've lost.
Right.
So just remember that, but getting published on Amazon is not, it's a good place to be, but it is one of many places that you should be.
Exactly. It
Um,
is not the only
because
place to
yeah,
be.
I mean, actually, I was going to talk about this because part of this is distribution and understanding that as an author, one of the rules of publishing is that you should not have all your eggs in one basket. You
Yep.
need more streams of revenue. And people will tell me all the time, well, I put all my eggs in one basket at Amazon, but I can move those eggs anytime I want. And you're absolutely right. But when you move them, you don't have an audience in those other places.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'll give you an example. So I knew a gal who was writing some kind of oddball, erotica type stuff. Won't go into too much detail about what it was, but hey, she was doing exceptionally well
Okay.
on Kindle Vella.
Oh yeah.
What
Mm.
happened to Kindle Vella in the last year?
On.
Now, when I say exceptionally well, I'm talking about that she was making five figures a month off of
Mm.
Kindle Vella
I think I might know who you're
with
talking about.
bonuses and sales and all that kind of stuff, right? And then Kindle Vella shut down, and she went from five figures at Kindle Vella to having to find that somewhere else. Now, she was making some money in KDP as well, but that audience, that huge audience in Kindle Vella, did not, because it's not the same audience as those who buy in KDP. So they did not follow her. So she had to go find somewhere else to put her serial
Right.
fiction that she was doing on Vella, right? And replace that income.
Right.
Replace that income. So when you say you can move your eggs anytime, you can, but there's going to be a transition period when you're going to drop painfully low in sales as you're moving things. So just understand, but don't put all your eggs in Amazon. First of all, there will be a next after Amazon. Even Jeff Bezos says so. We don't know what it is yet. We don't know what it looks like, but there will be something else that comes after Amazon. So
Yeah.
it's not going to be there forever. And eventually, you're going to need to be diversified other places. There's all kinds of other places you can do. We've talked about those before here, and we'll talk about them again, I'm sure. But
Mm-hmm.
being published on Amazon is not the be all end all. It's just not.
It's just
So,
not.
yeah.
It's just not. Okay. I'm ready for yours.
Okay, next one. It's one of my favorites.
Oh
Okay,
no.
one of my
Okay, I'm ready.
favorites. Your first book won't make you rich.
Oh,
Probably.
yeah. That is a hard one for
Probably.
people to understand. People are
Mhm.
like, oh, that I have a
It's like
sweet.
it's like overnight success. Okay,
Yeah.
it's a myth because usually, first of all, for most people, the first book that you publish is not your first book.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're like me,
If it
you might
is,
have written between 6 and 10 books before you even found one that was publishable.
yeah, but that's the thing.
Okay.
I think in the age of
So
self-publishing, I think even some people who publish their first book don't understand this. I mean,
yeah, that maybe you
keep
shouldn't have published your
yeah,
first book.
maybe you should have waited or just keep publishing, just keep writing, keep writing, keep writing.
Yeah.
Um,
Just understand that's not generally that's not the way it works. And I want to caveat this with the people that are making the most money from
mm,
publishing right now are writing in series.
mhm.
And a series begins to be profitable around book three,
Yep.
usually. Now, there are exceptions to that. And especially if you have an audience already, you can make that, that first book successful, second book successful. But typically, what people are looking for is series. And so if you can get to book three, book four, book five in a series, then you start making money on that series. So the likelihood of your first book making you a significant amount of money is really low. The likelihood of your first book breaking even is also low.
Right.
Like it just, you're going to probably spend more to put it into the world than you're going to make from it if you do it properly.
Right.
Okay. So just
This
most
is
of us
so
did not make it on our first book.
this is
It's,
so hard for people. And it really I always feel like, as an editor, we always talk about, we always kind of jokingly have this. It's a little bit of a, what is it? It's a little bit of that. It's the kind of humor that, the morbid humor. a
The
little
gallows
bit the
humor. Yeah,
gallows
yeah,
humor.
yeah.
It's a little gallows humor, a little bit when editors talk about killing the babies in our novels, you know, killing off our characters or taking scenes out that you put your heart and soul in, and editors come in and say, well, that is just a waste of
That's
time, we're
gotta
getting rid
go.
of that, that's got to go.
Yeah.
And it's I mean, so there's this little bit, but at the same time, this is one of those things as an publishing coach that I struggle with when I have to tell my authors, you know, yeah, let's get this book out there. Let's make it happen. Let's do everything we can. And then like you need like to keep going because I have a really sweet author right now that I've been working with for a couple years, and she's really an amazing girl, and I wish her the very best. I keep hoping she'll see success, but she's putting a lot of her heart, soul, and, you know, stress into this first book, and I keep thinking to myself, "This isn't the one. This isn't the one." And I struggle with that. I struggle to help to
Hmm.
help her because I know, like, it's she has to keep going. She has to keep creating all those other multiple streams of income and building that author brand and working on her fan base, because it's not the book. It's like we said, it's not the book, it's the product. It's the world. It's beyond the book now. It's beyond the book and the author experience,
Hmm.
reader experience that you're going to get with your readers. So, yeah, it's just don't give
Yeah.
up. We don't want you to not publish that book. You have to get over the first one, but don't stop there. Please don't
Yeah.
stop there.
There's a there's a couple things I'll say about that. First of all, that I think it's the most common place for authors to quit is after the first couple books when they're not making as much as they want.
Mhm.
And they say, "Well, I just can't find success in this publishing thing." And I'm like, "That is not
Mm.
true. You may have to go through several books before you find success." And you need to talk about redefining your success and what
Yeah,
success means to you.
you really
So
do. Yeah.
that's a part of it. And eh, this just doing this as for a living is just a really hard thing, and it's a constant struggle, and there's ups and downs just all over the place. And so it's just never that easy. And yeah, sometimes you just have to write a lot of books before you're going to get to the one that really hits or really resonates with readers or an agent or
Mhm.
whatever. And I mean, and you can pour over it forever, but you can't stress about it. People put too much stock and too much value in that first in just that first book and that first effort. And I often say it like this, like writing, like, okay, drafting books and drafting over and over, and writing lots of different words. And that's like basketball practice. That's like practicing basketball. You can go out and practice basketball all day long. When you're tested is when you get in the game.
Mm.
Writing and drafting the books is the practice. Publishing is the game. And
Mhm.
there's not a professional player out there that won't tell you, first of all, that they've had bad games
Yeah,
because they have. And almost none of them will tell you that their very first game in the NBA was their best.
right.
That's just not going to happen. And they're not remembered. Jordan didn't score 60 points in his first game in the NBA.
Right.
He didn't do a triple
Exactly.
double. He was a remarkable player, you know, but that's not the way it works,
Right.
right? He built that over a career, over a lifetime of practice, and got cut from his junior high or high school basketball team or whatever
Mhm.
because he wasn't good enough. So think about this when you're looking at publishing and thinking about, though, that first book, that's going to be the one, that's going to be it. Probably not. Probably not. And if it is, you're going to be really disappointed with the rest of your life. So, you know, I mean, just that's just the way it
Or you're
is.
gonna be disappointed with every book after that because it's never gonna hit the same.
Yeah, it's just never going to hit the same. So just understand that this is just a likely scenario for probably 90% of the authors out there. There's always exceptions, but we call them exceptions to the rule because there is a rule, and then there are extraordinary things that happen that are exceptions.
Mhm.
Okay. So
Mhm.
let's just be real clear about that. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's it.
Exactly. That's good. That's a good one. Okay. So okay. Ooh, I've got a couple I want to hit on.
Yeah, I've got only one that I really want to make sure we get to. The rest of them, I'm like,
Okay, well, we've
um,
kind of we've hit on this. We've even said this last so I'm just going to say it, but I'm not going to but we don't need to dwell on it. Editors want to help you. They're not there to harm you. So they're not there to,
mhm,
they're not there to rob you. They're not there. So editors are your friends. Just make sure that you do a full vetting. I have a vetting checklist on my website. If you want to know how to hire an editor, make sure that you're getting the right one. Go to my website, editsbystacey.com. There's a free checklist there. But I think I want to say this. Vanity isn't just a press, it's kind of a mindset. It's just because you can publish doesn't mean you
yeah.
should. Um so like we talked about this a little bit, but avoid rushing to get things out there. Sloppy publishing, you can get your book out there pretty dang quick, but you can also lose your credibility. So I guess what I want to say here is this. Don't get your ego in the way of your project.
Mhm,
So, when you get into the publishing world, you are going to encounter people that know more than you. And this is true about everything in life. But
mhm,
um and a lot of people have ego when they come into this because they put their heart in the sleeve and throughout their pages, like their ego is as big as their book. And I've had lots of clients um come at me when I'm critiquing and feel very defensive. In fact, I've even been fired once because the lady said that she didn't like the critiques I had. And it was really kind of interesting because I was like, wow, okay. Sorry. And what was funny about that is I really liked her book. I was like, really liked her book. I really wanted to see that book go. But I was trying to explain to her that there were some plot issues and the ego got in the way. The ego got in the way. And
mhm,
so I guess what I'm trying to say is like, and I say this actually from a very good like I will honestly be the first one to ever admit in a room like full of people that I am like the dumbest one in there. I know what I know and I know what I know well, but a lot of times there are people like Troy that I have in my pocket because for a very good reason, because Troy knows things really well too. And he and I together, we make a good dynamic duo. And you add another person, powerhouse, one of like our editor friends or other professionals that we know and we love, and we form partnerships with for very good reasons. Is because together we are a good team. True, a good example of this, and I love Steve Jobs was an amazing, brilliant businessman. But one of the things he always said was that he's only as good as his team. He's only as good as the people that he
mhm,
works with, and he's not the brilliant mind. It's actually the team behind him. So everybody saw Jobs as the visionary and the one who was leading this company, but really he would be the first one in the room to tell you, "Yeah, I'm the dummy here. These guys are the geniuses." And it really
mhm,
is just the same thing with you and your book. Remember that when you come to the table with your book, it's a project that needs professional insight. And like I
mhm,
said, you could spin a good yarn, but oftentimes maybe the story is perfect, but maybe you have no idea about marketing. Maybe you have no idea about cover design. Maybe you have no idea about the target audience you're trying to reach, or email marketing or any of that stuff. Be open to learning because the people that you bring into your team and into your ecosphere, they're there to help you. 99.9% of us, we don't jump into a project that we don't want to work on. We will
mhm.
find some reason not to do it if we don't want to do it.
For sure. For
So
sure.
So if we've invested our time and effort and money, because sometimes we're taking huge hits by doing I have passion projects, and my we Troy and I are working on passion projects right now. There are sometimes things that we are willing to sacrifice our time and effort and energy for because we believe in that project. When we do that, we're not doing things for us. We're doing things because we want to see you succeed. So check your ego at the door, because the rest of us are going to do the same thing. And if I get challenged, I'm more than willing to say, okay, wait, I could be wrong here. Let me go do some research. You should be willing to do the same thing. That's what
Mhm.
I have to say about vanity. It's like, this is a mindset.
Yeah.
Don't be vain.
Well,
Drop
and
it.
what I like about that you said, that I'll just add, which was one of my points, but now you pretty much covered it, is your network is currency. Your network is valuable, and your network tells you everything about your net worth. And your editor is a part of your network. So is your cover designer. So are all the different people that you work with. Okay, they're brilliant. I was just working on this anthology project, and we had a guy the other day, who's one of the authors in it, and I was having a conversation with him over Zoom, and he brought up something, and I'm like, that is a brilliant thing to add to the Kickstarter that I hadn't even thought of,
Mm,
right? But it's a brilliant thing. And hey, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. We don't know, but it's just a brilliant idea that he threw into the mix. And he's not even on part of the editing team or the building the Kickstarter team, just one of our authors. But he has a brain and a mind for publishing, and he threw out some ideas that are really useful for us. Um, but anyway, there's two that I want to get to really
go,
quick.
go for it.
But the first one is, you need a platform, even if you hate social media.
That's true.
Your platform does not have to be on social media, but it has to be somewhere.
Yes, it
It
does.
has to be email subscribers. It has to be somewhere else. There's only so much you can do with paid advertising. And we've talked about that you're going to need ads, you're going to need stuff like that. And that is so you can build a network without ads. You can build fans without ads, without spending money on ad spend. But it's a very, 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 very slow process. It'll take you
It's
years to do
long.
it. Okay, it's an extremely long process. But if you can do that initial push and get fans to your platform and your email list and visiting your website, then you don't necessarily need social media all the time. And not all social media is created equal, and that landscape changes all the time. And it varies depending upon who you are and what exactly you want to accomplish with your books. Okay, all of those things, all of them apply, right? All of them apply. But you need a platform of some sort. When agents and editors and other people are looking at you to pick up your work, they are looking at your platform. In order to get readers to your work, you're going to need some kind of a platform. More than likely, okay, and we've talked about this before, more than likely you're going to start on rented land because you're going to start in social media and stuff like that. Bring people to your website and your email list. That is the platform that you own and that you can take with you anywhere, but you probably won't start there.
Hmm.
Okay. Just throwing that out there. Okay. You're probably going to start somewhere else. Okay. But you're going to need some kind of a platform. Even if you hate social media, you're going to need a platform.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And that, like he said, that's going to be it could be anywhere. Like, pick something that you can stomach. like,
yes.
like if you can't stomach Facebook, then don't go to Facebook. Go to, if you can't stomach Instagram, but you really like TikTok, go to TikTok. If you can't, if you like Substack, go to Substack. Do go where you want to go, where you can be consistent. The rule of
Mhm.
thumb used to be pick one or two that you could be consistent
Still
with.
is kind of. Yeah.
So, but this is a twofold thing. Like I said, you want to go where you can stomach, but also you want to go where your audience is. So you're going to
Hmm.
want to know who your target audience is. And that is very much part of the branding and the business side of this kind of whole thing.
Hmm.
So you can target your audience when you figure out, there's ways to, figure out your target avatar and everything. And like I said, I have all these workshops and everything inside of my Imprint Academy as well. Like I said, I'm a one-stop shop, man.
Well,
But anyway, but it's very easy to do. You could go to Chat GPT, you could ask Chat, like
oh,
I have this book. Go
and
ahead.
commercial for two things.
Yeah, go,
Okay.
go.
Commercial for two things. First one is Spark Toro. It's
Oh
an
yeah, you've
audience,
talked about them
it's an
before.
audience research tool. And this is
Yeah.
so you as an author probably don't need to subscribe to Spark Toro all the time. They have monthly plans. Subscribe for a couple months and do research on your audience and look at the things that you're talking about, the hashtags that are related to your books and things like
Mhm.
that. And Spark Toro will help you determine where those fans are. And also podcasts they listen to and blogs that they read and different things you can do for outreach that are not social media that allow you to reach your readers more directly.
I'm gonna put
Okay,
all these
that's
links
commercial number
in the
one.
description
Okay,
too, by the
yeah,
way. We'll put them
Spark
all in the
Toro down
description.
below.
Spark door.
The next one, Author Ecosystems by Russell
Mm.
Notley and Monica Leonel.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic, because what it does is you take this quiz, right? Asks you a whole bunch of questions about how you feel about different kinds of marketing and different things like what resonates with you, and it helps you determine what kind of a marketer you are as an author, right? And what type you are determines the things that you're going to enjoy doing more than others. I happen to be a forest, which means I like to build roots and build community and draw people in and that type of thing. And there are various ways to do that. You can do that on Facebook, you can do that on other platforms, but you can also do it through your own email list. And what it means is being more open and personable and all that kind of stuff, but bringing people in because they like you, not necessarily because they like I mean, you want them to like your work too, but because they're vested in you as a person because you're a
Right.
genuine, nice person that they actually want to get to know. Okay. So, but your type may be different. There may be things you may love, the excitement of a launch, and then you forget about that book because who cares? You're on to the next one, right? Something like that. So there's different types of people that you are. So go and determine what kind of a marketer you are, and then build your platform in a way that you enjoy marketing. You don't have to hate marketing. It doesn't have to be a terrible part of your work. Everybody talks about how they hate marketing, they hate advertising, but it doesn't have to be something you hate if you can do it in a way that aligns with who you are and your personality. That's the other thing we were talking about: longevity of career, sustainability. Sustainability is number one. Find a way to do this that you could sustain for your lifetime.
Right.
Okay. There are many of us who have, and believe me, it is challenging. And there are plenty of times when we all want to quit and go down to
Oh,
Walmart and be a greeter and, freaking get a paycheck every week.
that would
But
be so
that's
great
not going to
sometimes.
happen. Hey, little boy, here's your sticker. Don't you dare run out of here with that TV. I'll run you down. No.
You would be so
But
great
anyway,
as a grader.
no. But yeah, I mean, it'd be a great thing. But I mean, but that's not what that's not what I'm built to do. It's not what I'm called to do. So I'm not going to do that. But there are people that literally, there's easier things to do, and everybody wants to quit this job at one point or another. Probably several points throughout the year. Last year, I almost quit entirely.
Oh
So, and that's
yeah, me
another story.
too. Last year was
So
we could talk
anyway,
about the year that was 2024 at one point, but I don't
last
know if
year
I'm
was
ready yet.
but anyway, the point is that you need a platform. Okay,
Mhm.
so find a way to do this that aligns with who you are, that's sustainable for you as a person. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. Well, let's do some rapid fire really quick. And we won't really
Okay.
discuss these in depth, but I'm going to do some rapid fire here. Arcs need to go out before the launch day.
Yeah.
Okay. You need both front and back matter to look professional. If you don't have front and back matter on your book, you guys, people will literally look at that book and kind of have like a vomit in their mouth and they won't know why. If you don't know what front and back matter is, again, look me up. Editsbystacey.com. Formatting is not a Word doc, or formatting is not a Word doc that's double spaced.
Oh man, I wish I got a book the other day. And I wish I had it right here with me because it was in that double spaced format in the interior. It was like, oh my God. Whoa. Anyway,
Oh my gosh, it
um,
could be. That's so bad. I hate Word. By the way, don't format your book in Word. Gosh, please don't format your book in Word. Oh, there's so many problems
there's
with
so
that.
many better options out there, even free ones, or
Yeah,
pay
there's
somebody $50 to do it for you.
yeah, no
Anyway,
kidding.
um,
And you can't just post a Canva cover and hope for respect. People are going to know that. People are going to see it. There are layers and layers and layers to cover design. I've dabbled in it. I'm nowhere near an expert. I have an amazing cover designer that I work with regularly who does phenomenal book covers. But I can honestly say that anytime I do a cover mock up and then I say, forget it, can you take this and do a better, do one for me and give her the concept? She always blows me away. And it's because she knows all these little tricks, because there's all these little details that I don't know. And that is, my friends, experience and education. Like they just know. So just beware that you understand those things. So those are my rapid fires. Do you have any
Okay.
like rapid
So I have a
fires?
rapid fire. My last thing that I wanted to cover that covers all of those things.
Yay. Okay, I'm
Okay.
ready.
You ready? Quality wins in the long run.
Oh, that is number one.
Okay. We live in an age of AI and do it fast and do it efficiently. Everybody talks about AI, about how fast and efficient it is. Okay.
Mhm.
But speed and efficiency are not what we're looking for with art and writing. Okay. We live in an economically based society that has replaced speed and efficiency with quality and value.
Right.
I mean, replace quality and value with speed and
Speed and
efficiency, other way
efficiency,
around.
right. I knew what you
Okay.
meant. We all knew what
So,
you meant.
but let me just tell you something. So, Stacey, would you describe your marriage with William as fast and efficient?
I don't know.
No,
Maybe.
no, you would not. Certain parts of it, maybe. I don't want to know. But
Uh,
but you don't judge your relationships on speed and efficiency.
no. In fact,
You
Simon
don't
Sinek
judge your
teaches us
hobbies on speed and efficiency. You
all the
don't go,
time.
wow,
Yeah.
that round of golf was fast and efficient. No, no, because
No.
that takes the joy out of it. That takes the joy and stuff away from it.
Movies
Okay.
aren't even that way. Movies,
Quality.
yeah, you
Movies are not that way. You don't go, man, that was a 2.5 hour movie. I really wish it had been 30 minutes, unless it was
it was Snow
Oppenheimer.
White.
And in that case,
And
when it was
Oppenheimer was Snow
Oppenheimer,
White.
Oppenheimer could have been done in half the time, and it probably would have had a story if it was. But anyway, I could rant on that all day. Not going to
Strong
go there.
opinions. Yeah.
Okay. But the point is that we don't judge those things by speed and efficiency. We
Right.
judge them by the impact that they had on us. Writing is about feeling and thinking. Reading is about feeling and thinking. Neither of those things are judged. The quality of either of those things is not judged on speed and efficiency.
True.
Okay. That's not it. Quality wins in the long run. In an era where somebody can create a book with AI in 4 days and put it out there on Amazon with an AI generated cover and the whole thing that has had no human intervention at all, because I'm not saying you can't use AI to make the process more efficient, but in
That's
the
true.
long run, what's going to happen, what makes it the best is the quality that you add to it as a human being. Okay.
That's true.
Without adding that quality, it's garbage and it doesn't matter. Quality will always win in the long run. Your agent, if you send them an AI generated book, will turn it around so fast and slap it back on your desk quicker than you can imagine. Okay.
Because we can
Because
tell.
quality
We
is
can
what
tell.
matters.
We can tell that
Yep.
it's AI.
We
So
can
don't
tell.
don't
So absolutely,
even try it.
quality covers all those things Stacey just talked about under rapid fire.
Mhm.
But those things are really important. But it all comes down to I'm going to produce the best quality product I can with whatever my resources I have at this time. Does that mean that 10 years down the road I'm going to be producing the same quality? Man, I hope not. I've got to learn and I've got to get better as I go. But you're going to do the best quality you can right now with the resources you have at hand, because quality is what always wins in the long run.
That's true.
Always. Anyway.
Amen. Yeah, that's a great way to end this. Thank you so much, Troy. That's 100% hands down the best best advice. So let me ask the audience, what's one unwritten rule you wish we would have covered or that we would have answered? Like write that in the chat. I'm kind of there's a really sweet client of mine that she's posting a lot of good information lately on her journey and her marketing journey with her husband's books. And it's kind of interesting to me to hear some of the things that she talks about, because it's definitely eye-opening for her to have gone through this journey. They've been on this journey now for a little over a year. And yeah, it's fun to see her learning these things and growing. And there are things that she wished she would have learned sooner. So maybe there's something that you know as an author that you wish you would have learned sooner. Put it in the comments. I would love to see what those are. And then if you want to find more rules about unwritten rules, or learn more about publishing, you can certainly visit Troy's website and my website, editsbystacey.com. I'm always teaching people about this publishing world and the landscape above and below the world. And whether you want to be in Hades or you want to be in Mount Olympus, we will show you how to be there. But let us know if there's anything that you guys want to hear. We would love to hear from it. Troy, do you have any final last words? This was a
Final
fun
last
one.
words. All I'm saying, final last words is you're forever going through evolutions and changing. So I am changing my author website
Oh
and my
yeah.
fiction website, both of them. At the moment, this is a huge shift for me. Really, the first shift that I've had of all of these things in probably the last decade or so. So not all of that is ready to be live yet, but when it is, hey, watch this space. Maybe we'll talk about that. Maybe we'll talk about pivots,
Oh yeah, we
big
should
pivots, and how you actually do that in your career.
we should
I've
talk
talked about
about
that
that.
before with the girls from Plot Geek Academy and stuff like that, but maybe we'll talk about it again here, big pivots and how you actually manage to do that, because this is a huge process. But I've learned some things over the last few years that really have made me rethink the way I handle the business side of things. So, I'm actually changing the website that I've had I've had that same website
Well, as
really
long as
since
I've known you.
2009. So
Yeah.
probably about 16 years.
Yeah. As long as
And
I've known
and
you.
even though that website has gone through changes and design advances and stuff like that, like it's going through a major shift right now. Along with my website for also, those two are going to be two separate things now, and
Yep.
things like that, because times have changed and it's time to make some changes, and trying to improve some of the things that I'm doing to improve my own
We
career and
should
my
do
own
that. We should do
marketability.
that. Then the
So,
next one was talk about those big pivots, because that is something that is often having to happen in businesses, is like those pivots. So maybe we'll talk about that and what that looks like. And so, because I tell people, yeah, you'll have to learn how to iterate and iterate fast, but sometimes they don't understand what that means. Maybe we could really kind of like break that down. So that would
oh
be kind
yeah,
of a good one.
yeah.
That would be
Let's
a
talk
good one.
about what that looks like.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. So anyway, well, this has been a great one. I really appreciate you being here with us, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Again, we'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody.
all right. See you, everybody.